Hi there, I'm Max Harrick Shenk, and I'm going to read an excerpt from Meeting Dennis Wilson, which is a serialized novel. This is from book 3, and it's the narrator, 16-year-old Brian, writing in his journal, May 1976. Well, that was annoying. Christy called here from a payphone 3 times. The first time she called, Danny took a message, which I didn't get. The second 2 times, Mom said I was out at the library studying with Margot, even though I was already home and was taking a shower. On the one hand, I think, okay, Dad just didn't tell Mom that I was back home. But on the other hand, I said at the supper table that I was going to study with Margot, and then when I left the house, by the way, going out the back door, not through the garage or the front door like I was going someplace else, I said, I'm going over to Margot's, and Dad said, okay. But even if Mom hadn't heard me say that, all she would have had to have done when Christy called was call upstairs. Call upstairs to see if I'm back. Sometimes I swear it feels like Danny and Mom are KGB operatives. Their mission? To infiltrate and frustrate Senator Kelly's re-election campaign indirectly through interference with Christie's and my communication. Make a great book or movie of the week. Seriously, I get the feeling sometimes that Mom really doesn't like Christy. Not because of Christy, but because of Christy's mom, Katie Kelly. Because Dad and Mrs. Kelly, and Christy's dad, all went to Quaker Valley High School, which Mom didn't because she grew up in Pittsburgh. And Dad and Katie dated in high school for a while. And Dad always talks about what a pistol Katie was back then. About how Katie and her brothers, and when they dated, Dad too, used to go to Quaker Valley basketball games and sit behind the opposing team's bench and razz and heckle the visiting players from buzzer to buzzer. And I'm sure that Dad has had plenty of other things to say about Katie in high school that I haven't been privy to, but maybe Mom has. That's probably paranoid, but it seems like anytime Christy calls or comes over, there are problems of some kind. And anytime I talk about Christy, Mom seems to want to change the subject. Same with Christy's parents and Kathy, about whom Dad has said a couple times, you know, that Kathy Kelly really reminds me so much of Katie when she was that age. Also, anytime I talk about Christy or Kathy or the Kellys, Mom sighs and rolls her eyes. Okay, not every time, just sometimes. Or worse, like when Kathy got her VW. I was talking about it at supper and said that Kathy was thinking of getting a U.S. Senate license plate on it since her dad's in the Senate. And Mom just shook her head and said, those girls are going to get a rude awakening someday. No idea what that meant. Like Margot said, if I could get one of those plates on my car, I'd get one of those plates on my car. It's a cool license plate. Like I said, it's probably paranoid. But, you know, when stuff like happens tonight happens, where I can't even get Mom to pass off a stupid phone call to me, let alone 3 of them, you have to wonder. Anyway, when I finally got hold of Christy, she and I barely got to talk. I think she wasn't mad at me, but I'm not sure. Mainly it just sounded like she was upset that her sister talked her into driving down to Washington. We didn't really get to talk except for her saying she thought that I was mad at her. Margot insists that Christy wasn't mad at me, and I want to believe that, but the worst thing about this phone call is that I really couldn't tell what Christy was feeling, except annoyed that she was there, frustrated that we couldn't talk longer. The last 2 things we said were, don't yell, her, and sorry, me. Not the greatest way to end a phone call. On the one hand, she did say she was worried about me and that she wished she was at home with me. So that's good. If Christy thought I was mad at her, she probably wasn't mad at me. Right?